Well, guys, it is the day after the Royal Rumble. It is finally in the books. And there's a lot that I want to say about it. Now, there were some moments where I was incredibly surprised, and then it just kind of went downhill from there. I watched it with the Club Atlantis crew, and honestly, guys, I'm just gonna go over, maybe have a brief, review of each match and not really go by every single number that came through for the men's and the women's Royal Rumble because that's gonna take way too long. So what I've decided to do is just to talk about the highlights of each match and actually my feelings and opinions towards that, as well as giving it a rating. So let's get started with the actual match that jumped off the Royal Rumble, the Women's Royal Rumble. And my surprise at this first, not really, because they usually put the women's match first just to get it over with. But I will say this, that was probably one of the best women's rumbles I have seen since its inception. They went far out of their way to make this the best. Not only did they only have 4 women, or maybe 5, that already announced that they're going to be in the Rumble. Everybody else was blank on the screen, and especially on the graphic. So we had no idea who was going to show up. We had no idea who was going to be the Iron Woman. Well, we had an idea. At least I did, and I'm happy I was right. But the thing is, there was more surprises in this Rumble than the men's, and I'm going to get to the men's later. But in this case, the biggest surprise of the night definitely was Jordynne Grace making her appearance with the TNA Knockouts Championship on WWE television. That's something that we never expected. That kind of confirms right there they have a relationship with TNA and that they're working with them. You can probably say that was confirmed a few years back when Mickie James came on there when she was a Knockouts champion to her hardcore country music. You can probably make the confirmation all the way back there, but it really wasn't cemented. People just assumed they were doing it just for Mickie James, just to kind of, I don't know, make it look. We all know what happened to Mickie James. The fact that they put all of her stuff in a trash bag and sent it to her, we thought it was a PR move. But in this case, this looked like an actual legit business move between WWE and TNA, seeing Jordynne Grace, who just beat Naomi, and she was there. She actually was number 1. She just beat her the I guess a few nights before for the championship. That was Trinity's last run, only for her to be in a Rumble. So it shows now that TNA actually does have a business relationship with WWE, and it's exciting. And I'm hoping that we'll see more and more crossovers. Not anytime soon, but I'm hoping that we'll see a little bit more of Jordynne Grace. That's just, I was excited to really see her. And honestly, y'all, I really did not expect this Rumble for the women's to be that good. It told an amazing story, especially with the tag team titles, with the Kabuki Warriors winning it the night before, after they beat Katana Chance and Caitlyn Carter. After they beat them on SmackDown the previous night, they were actually in the Rumble together, and it was more of a story being told with them, especially the elimination. There was so many stories told right and left. And I have to say that my first prediction of the night was actually correct. I didn't get the whole Sasha Banks thing right. I'm over that. But I did get 2 of them right in one night. Jade Cargill made her debut as number 28. And I'm not going to lie, I busted out laughing because we all know that she is terrible in the ring. We know that she's incredibly green. We know that the whole time she was at AEW, she was almost there for 3 years. And she got trained by the best, still sucked. We know this. But the one thing that Irvin as well as Prince told me that made plenty of sense is that just because she's bad in the ring does not mean that she can cover that up being in the Rumble. In other words, you don't have to do much being in the Rumble. All you gotta do is just do a few things and toss people out. That's all you do. And in the case with her, that's what she did. She did a lot of impressive things, especially with Nia Jax, who was a beast the entire time she was in there, tossing people out right and left. She even got rid of Piper Niven, which I honestly wanted to see those two go to head to head, but she ended up getting tossed out by her. But Jade Cargill bench pressed Nia Jax, who's probably close to 300 pounds, like she was nothing. Like picking up a piece of candy and tossing it over. Like, it was nothing to her. I was impressed with the amount of strength that Jade Cargill has. And also, there were a lot of teases between Jade Cargill, Naomi, and Bianca Belair. The one that really got me interested was between her and Naomi. Then I really got interested between her and Bianca Belair. But let's be honest, if she honestly faced Bianca Belair, that would be embarrassing for Bianca Belair. I'm just hoping that she got better in the ring, because it looks to me that she is going to negate NXT and go straight to the main roster. Do I think that's a good idea? No. But honestly, let's just hope she got better from there. I'm hoping that her wrestling skills has improved, and maybe they have a lot of hope in her to put her in a WrestleMania event, which would be her first. So the fact that we saw Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill do a face-off made me incredibly interested. I was actually more interested in seeing Jordynne Grace facing Ivy Nile at first than seeing those two, but there was so many potential matches, you can just dream matches you can put together at that one moment, and that is what the Rumble is about. When you see the Rumble and you see people you've never seen before and do a face-off, you're hoping that they go toe-to-toe one day. And I'm hoping they actually do that with Jordynne Grace and Ivy Nile, as well as Jade Cargill, I never thought I would say that, and Bianca Belair. And I'm looking forward to what they're going to do in the future, especially in 2024. But the overall winner of the Rumble, I got it right, which makes me happy. I'm happy it wasn't Becky. Nothing against Becky, but I am happy that it was Bayley. Because Bayley has been kind of thrown to the side for a long time. She needed this win. I'm happy she got it. Not only that, it creates a great story. We already know that Damage Control is going to probably break up with Bayley, and it's going to be tension there. Who is she going to be going against? Is she going to choose Rhea Ripley, or is she going to choose Io? It's going to be an incredibly interesting story, and it can go either way. But to be honest with you, I really do believe that she is going to go towards Damage Control and towards Io. Because, you know, Io was her friend at first. Of course, things start to fall away. And having a group that knows each other can create magical matches. So I'm hoping she goes towards Io, but we will see. But guys, this was probably one of the best women's rumbles I have seen in a long time. This definitely gets a 5 out of 5 for me. Now that we got that out the way, we can go into the other matches of the night. And in my humble opinion, these are things you can possibly skip. Now, I'm going to go straight into the Universal Championship match. Why was this here? What was the purpose of it? Now, I know a lot of people say this match was great, but it was ridiculously predictable. We all knew that Roman was going to win. Nobody else was going to win. I really wasn't interested in this match at all. There was very little build going to it, and I just did not care. And the fact that Solo Sikoa again interfered in this match again is just annoying. It is to the point where it's becoming this guy's trademark. It's becoming Roman Reigns' trademark to have so many interferences in this match. It is ridiculous. Now, the biggest annoyance I have about Roman Reigns is definitely the fact that he talks way too much in the ring. He didn't do it this much that time. He didn't do it that time. Not that much, which really makes me happy. But the match itself, I just didn't care, because it didn't feel like there was a lot of stakes. I felt like that AJ tried to make it into something, but at the end of the day, nobody really cared. And of course, he had to be the one to take the pin. Nobody else would. And you have LA Knight, in my opinion, shouldn't have been there at all. I love LA Knight. And I don't think that LA Knight should have been in the Universal title picture. He should have been in the next match I'm going to talk about. But then you got Randy Orton, who will not look bad in a match at all. So what were you going to do? You're going to have to do something to make Randy look good. You're going to have to do something to make your up-and-coming star look good. So who's going to eat the pin? AJ, of course. He's a vet on his way out. So of course he's going to eat the pin. And of course you're going to have Roman retain. And of course you're going to have to wait till Mania. And I will get to the men's match soon. But let's talk about... Oh, well, I guess I got to go back to my rating. Hence why I completely forgot about the rating. But the rating for this match, it wasn't awful, but it just wasn't very interesting. I would just give this match a 3 out of 5. But let's get to the worst match on the card. And I hate saying that because these guys work their butts off to make this work, especially Kevin Owens. He does everything he can to make his matches look good and make it work as best as he can, but it just didn't. Why? Because he shouldn't have been there. He's already made the U.S. Championship something. You need to move him up to something else. I just feel like that Kevin Owens is constantly being downgraded, and he's constantly being in these matches that don't make any sense for him, that's kind of beneath him. He has to be bigger than this. He should have been bigger than this. And the sad thing is, Logan Paul is literally running circles around everybody in that locker room who have worked their butts off for over a decade or so, while Logan was there for maybe a year or less, or maybe like 2 years, and he looks like a professional that's been there for nearly 20. That has to be annoying. But despite all that, the fact is that Logan Paul and his feud with Kevin Owens was just pointless to me. It made no sense. I'm sick of Logan having these random people on in ringside. It took 5 people to get one person out. It dragged on way too long. The finish was absolutely stupid. Why in the world would Kevin Owens hang on to brass knucks when he can just toss him out the ring and get the win? They're really, really trying to make, and this is my only opinion, my humble opinion, they're trying to make Logan Paul a babyface. I don't know why. Because we all know about Logan Paul. We know that he's a jerk in real life. We kind of know most of the people who are 15 and younger probably love his YouTube channel. And y'all know about Prime. I've already done a review on that, and I ain't talking about that. But despite all that, he is an amazing athlete. He's a natural-born athlete. He makes everything look easy, which has to be really annoying for those that train hard for it. But also the fact that this doesn't make any sense to be happening with Kevin. It makes more sense for this to be happening with LA Knight. This should have been a match for LA Knight, not for Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is beneath this. He's beneath this feud. He's beneath everything. This is something for LA Knight. The U.S. title, it should be for up-and-comers. It should be the starter belt that leads to the IC belt. The IC belt should lead to the main belt. This is for LA Knight, and it would have made more sense for LA Knight because they both have big personalities, and they would have made it into something. So why would you put Kevin Owens in that spot and not LA Knight? That's just me. It would have been a way better match if it was LA Knight versus Logan Paul than Kevin Owens versus Logan Paul. This match was boring. I care very less about it. It's a shame that it's on a Royal Rumble card. It should have been way better than it was, but it was not. Irvin fell asleep. I was about to fall asleep. Everybody was tired. We were dozing off. We really didn't care. It had nothing. We couldn't talk about anything because it was just boring. And that's sad because Kevin Owens is an amazing wrestler. He deserves to have more, but this match just didn't do it for me. And I'm going to be nice giving this rating, but I got to give it a 2. At least a 2. It wasn't horrendous, but this is going to get a 2. And I'm being nice. Now let's go to the biggest disappointment of the night. And I'm glad that there was only 4 matches on this card because it was about midnight when this was nearly over. At least at midnight in Eastern time. But honestly, guys, the men's Royal Rumble was the biggest disappointment because I guess our expectations were shot to the moon when The Rock showed up and he was talking about being the head of the table. We thought he was going to be there because they teased it. There was so much teasing and stuff going on, only for it to have a very mediocre, arbitrary result. Predictable result, I might add. Now, there was no surprises at all in this Rumble. None whatsoever. No surprise returns except for Braun Breaker that showed up. And I think it's because we all know what's going on with Vince. We know that gosh, I forgot his name. Sorry, I'm trying not to say Braun Strowman. But the fact that Brock Lesnar was mentioned in the lawsuit, we know he wasn't going to be there. So Braun Breaker actually was going to take his place. And there could be a chance that Braun Breaker was going to be there anyway because he's a great star. He should have been there at the beginning. But Braun Breaker was there, and I think he was taking Brock Lesnar's place. But to be honest with you, he was probably the only surprise that showed up. Everybody else, you can care less. You know, you can really care less who showed up. And I'm not going to lie, R-Truth got on my nerves. You know, I like the comedy here and there, but this is the freaking Rumble. You kind of want to take it seriously. He showed up in the women's early on in the night at 24 like a stooge, and then all of a sudden he showed up in his actual number confused, thinking it was a tag match. I'm like, look, dude, I know that was your shtick for many, many years, but this is the Rumble. Can you take it seriously for once? It'll be nice. But I know a lot of people like this whole comedic shtick, so it made people laugh a little bit, but it got on my nerves. So I was kind of happy when he got eliminated. But honestly, y'all, the final two was probably the most predictable of the night. The most predictable of the night. And there could have been a chance it might have been something different with the final four. We had Gunther. I think part of the final five was Gunther, Sami Zayn, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, and Drew McIntyre. Now, the fact that we had those individuals in the ring at the time, it kind of makes you think it can go anywhere. It can go in any single direction. But the fact that you had CM Punk and Cody Rhodes in that match for that long lets me know right then and there that I know who the final two are going to be. And I have a gut feeling who is going to win. Now, my prediction in one of my videos was CM Punk. Honestly, CM Punk would have been a better winner. He would have been a better winner, somebody different. He would have went up against Seth. There could have been so many directions he could have gone that actually would have made a great WrestleMania. But of course, they chose Cody. And why? Because of WWE 2K24. They were promoting the ever-loving crap out of finishing your story. The guy was practically campaigning a month before. And I did a video on that too. He did everything he could to stay relevant. He did everything he could to get the crowd to like him. He was practically campaigning like a politician. And now he's on the front cover of the latest WWE 2K game. You can't tell me that this is like promotion all over the place. They are literally advertising and marketing this guy. They are marketing Finish Your Story, which really irritated me. Because to be honest with you, and the Club Atlantis crew have already agreed that it shouldn't have been Cody, but we would have been fine if they pulled the trigger on him last year. Because it would have had a lot more of an impact if he won. Now it's not. It's not. For Cody fans, they're going to love it. They're going to absolutely love it. They're going to salivate for him finishing his story, and he is going to finish his story. Why? Because this is marketing. They are doing this to market the game that's about to come out. He has been politicking all over the place. He has no choice but to win, which really lessens the stakes, which really makes it less and less and less interesting. For the fact that Roman Reigns has held that title for 3 years, for the fact that he's had an iron claw on that title, they should have executed it last year. But from what I heard last year, that they paid so much attention to Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman to hang on to it, I doubt that. But honestly, it's going to have less of an impact now that Cody's the winner. He beat CM Punk. All that CM Punk did to get back in the WWE, all that talk, all that crap that he spent, and all that stuff he did at AEW just to go back to the company that practically humiliated him for most of his career, is it worth anything? Hopefully we'll find out soon. And I'm not a fan of Punk, but I'd rather have Punk win because it's something new. And we kind of need something new for this new year, but now we got Cody. This was probably the most predictable match with no stakes, no interest at all, only very little interest. But I have to say that there were some parts that really kind of picked up when Gunther came out. Even when Punk came out, things started picking up. And yeah, I laughed a little bit when Pat McAfee was called in there and he was like, nope, after seeing Almost and Braun Breaker in there, I had to laugh. This wasn't a terrible match, but it's the freaking Royal Rumble. You expect it to be better. And the fact that the women outdid the men this year, I'm really shocked at that. Sometimes you have the women and the men having great matches. Now it's the polar opposite. This is definitely a 3 out of 5 star match. This was kind of disappointing. I expected more out of the men's because the men's have a lot more to their disposal while the women didn't. And the women always pull out better. Okay, I have to rephrase that. But the women always do better because their backs are against the wall. They have a lot more to prove than the men do. And it kind of shows every single year. But this time the women kind of outshine the men in the Rumbles match, and this is definitely a 3 out of 5 star. But overall, guys, this pay-per-view was meh. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't stellar. It definitely was a 3 out of 5 star pay-per-view. It was not great. And that's sad. Because honestly, at the whole cloud that the whole Vince McMahon controversy has put over the Royal Rumble in itself, you expected this to be a 5-star pay-per-view, especially leading on up to WrestleMania. But I'm wrong. This was definitely a meh 3 out of 5 pay-per-view. But guys, I want to hear your thoughts about this. What do you think about this year's Rumble? What was your favorite parts of the entire pay-per-view? And tell me what you thought about the Rumble match. Because I'm not going to lie, I was a bit disappointed with the men's, but the women was a very pleasant surprise. Leave your thoughts in the comments section below and let me know how you feel. If you like what I do, by all means subscribe, share this video, and like it. Let me know how you feel in the comments below. I will talk to y'all later. Peace out.